Hey everyone, I hope you had a great weekend. We had prom this past weekend and it was so great to see everyone all dressed up to the nines. Everyone just looked so beautiful. So if you haven't already done so, feel free to join that prom cluster photo and share your photos of prom because I want to always see what your experience is like. So let's go ahead and get started. We haven't done character strong in a couple of weeks, and that's okay. We realized that there were some things to change after the third 9 weeks, and so we're working on making it better for next year. And there's some different implementation processes for next year as well. But let's get started. So this week for Character Strong, we are looking at common ground. So our intro activity will be the Deck of Destiny. Then our lesson will be on common ground, and our strength and character essay or assignment will be on a few new. So before we get started, let's go over our objectives for today. We want to identify similarities between each other based on common interest using common ground activities. We want to discuss empathy based on the challenges and surprises from common ground activity. Reflect upon and practice developing character through Character Dare process. So this week we're looking at the Deck of Destiny. And you guys were so sharp, so I'm going to pick diamonds. And we're going to go with level 9. So take a second here to answer this question. What are you interested in that most people haven't heard of? Tell us about it. Now, let's move on to our lesson. So let's talk about empathy and circles of care. Last week, if we had done this, we would have talked about our circle of care. And the good news is there's a lot of ways that we can work to bring people in our circle closer. And this is something that I try to practice. This is something I do by reaching out at least once a week to different people in my inner circle just to check on them, to see how they're doing and what's going on in their lives. Especially with COVID, it's harder for us to get together, so I try to make sure that we're still connected. So our question to start is, choose a difference from the last lesson. And what do you think someone who is different from you might be having a hard time with or understanding? And I think for you guys, my thing is graduation. For my juniors and seniors, this has been a year like no other. We ended last year after spring break, and this is the first time we've been back for an entire school year. So think about someone who is different from you in a way they might have a hard time understanding this process. The thinking part of empathy can be improved in a lot of ways, like learning about the history of certain groups, spending time and listening and learning from people who are different from you, and trying to understand what we have in common. Even when we feel like there's a lot of differences, you'd be surprised about what we have in common. So let's practice a little activity for empathy common ground. I want you to take out a piece of paper and something to write with. You're going to fold the piece of paper to create 8 spaces. So I'm going to take you back to elementary school. You want to fold that paper hot dog style and then hamburger twice. And that'll give you those 8 spaces. And then you're going to label each of these categories: food, music, sports, activities, art, time, entertainment, feelings, and facts. Now, I'm going to give you about 3 to 4 minutes total to write down 3 to 5 things in each category. Here are the prompts. What are your favorite foods? What are your favorite music artists or genres? What favorite sports to play or watch? Your favorite activities? Your feelings you feel most often? What you spend time on? Your favorite performers, music, movies, entertainment, books, and then boring facts about you. For example, I like peanut butter on both sides of my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And actually, that's pretty true. I love peanut butter, so I like to slather it on. Take a moment to get that done. Now, I have a discussion board that I'll be posting, but I want you to share I want you to share a couple of things with them and see what other people have in common with you. When you're finished, you're going to find out who has the most in common with you for any one of those sections, and there'll be a discussion board afterwards, and you're just going to reply to them and just get to know them a little bit better. And what you'll ask them is, tell me more about why blank is your favorite. Which thing do you feel like you usually don't have in common with people? Which category could you have added more things to? And what else could you have added? How do you think you'd like, I can't read today. How do you think you started liking blank? What's something you know a lot about, or more than most people, from the list? You'll see one of these questions come up in the discussion board, and I want you to be able to answer them. I want you to think about students at your school, and what percentage of things do you think you have in common with most students? Does that make empathy harder or easier? What is something you discover you'd had in common with someone that was unexpected? I want you to talk about your differences and similarities and how they can help us better understand where people are in our circles of care. What are some good questions you could ask to help find common ground more effectively with people? So here's your dare for this week. It's called A Few New. You're going to choose 3 people in your life and see what you can ask a creative question with each of them to discover something you have in common. Try to choose a friend, a family member, or someone who you don't know as well, or you feel like you don't have that much in common with. Try to discover some common ground with each of these 3, and then write them down somewhere to share. I want you to be prepared to share the fun, weird, and unique questions you asked to find out this new data. Finally, I want to end this lesson with a quote. Our patience will achieve more than our force. This was by Edmund Burke. Tell me, what does this quote mean to you? And how does it connect to what we talked about today? All right, Ruse, that's our lesson for today. Take a moment to think about what you have in common with other people and how you can get to know people better.